So, to steal one of Kevin Wilde's favorite phrases, denial is not just a river in Egypt. That's actually not one of Wilde's favorite phrases. It just seems like something maybe somebody corny would say, so I'm making fun of him. But he is in full-blown denial. He's in full-blown denial. Brew, you have made this point, and you've kind of loosely made it, and I want to give you full credit for it, about the Allen Iverson arc. And I just want to throw this right to you, because you've referenced it a number of times, but I don't know if you've ever spelled out exactly what the arc was. In 2008, Allen Iverson averaged 26 points per game, played all 82 games, led the league in minutes, and was an all-star. In 2010, Allen Iverson was playing in Turkey. That happened. Allen Iverson went from 26 a game, all 82, 41 minutes. Then 2 more NBA seasons, played for 4 teams, less than 90 total games, and then out of the league. And if Russell Westbrook continues to be in denial about his impact on winning, what he can and can't do, and what is actually valuable contributions to an NBA team in 2022 and where he falls into it, he's going to be on that same path. And so this is, to me, less almost about the Lakers and more about Russ, a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the 40 greatest players of the last 50 years in this league, what he is going to become and how much time he has left if he does not recognize what he needs to become, Brew.
No, look, obviously I agree with the Iverson comparison. Like you said, I've made that comparison. Iverson was obviously a phenomenal, iconic legend. And Russ will be the same thing.
Yeah.
30 years from now, we'll be talking about the guy that averaged a triple-double for 4 seasons. Unless Luka and Jokic start doing it, right? Unless they make it common practice to average a triple-double. But Iverson, like Russ, they played a certain way. They weren't built to be role players, not their game style of play or their mentality. Everything had to be built around Iverson. That was the year they got to the finals when Larry Brown did it, his most successful season, right? And everybody just fit around Allen. Same thing for Russ. And KD is a guy whose game can play with anybody. And so it worked with Kevin Durant. But outside of that, it all had to be, for the most part, built around Russ, and that's how he's successful. So, yeah, he's going to have trouble going somewhere and being a role player. And everybody in the league essentially knows it. But let me address the quote from Russ. Because when I heard it, just the blind quote, I never was given a chance to succeed, here with the Lakers. I thought he was talking about Frank Vogel. But as I listened to most of the press conference, as I saw him, I don't know if he took blame, but he did admit he didn't have a very good season by his standards. He admitted it wasn't really a good season by his standards. He took subtle jabs, you might say, at LeBron and AD, at Vogel, at all types of people. And I think what he was talking about, I really think he was talking about the media and the fans to a lesser degree. Here's why. I think Russell Westbrook, when I look at that whole quote, he was saying, look, before I even got here, or once the trade was made, the media had determined that it won't work, that I will not be a good fit. And so that, when he talks about, stories narratives being created about him, I think that's what he has in mind. And he's right, because most of the media, if not all of it, including me, thought it was a bad fit and it wouldn't work. All right? And I think he felt like that was already put out there. So when I got to the Lakers, once we started losing, whether it was because of AD's injuries, LeBron's injuries, we're old, we don't have shooting, we don't have guys that can defend, whatever the reason, it was all put on me because that was the narrative that was created from jump. So what he views as a preconceived notion, I view as accurate analysis, that we were right. It wasn't a good fit. And I do agree that he shouldn't get all the blame, but I think that's what he's talking about, Wilds.
Okay, yeah, but if the media said, you know what, Kevin, you shouldn't drive to work with your foot, and then I crash into a tree, and the police come and say, what happened? And I say, well, you know, I crashed into a tree because I was driving with my foot. And one of the reasons is the media started out by saying, don't drive to work with your foot. And I'm like, well, you know, it wasn't me. I've made it a long time driving with my feet. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the other weird, and you were right about denial, Nick.
That's whack.
I would like someone in that press conference to just say, Russ, do you follow Kirk Goldsberry on Twitter? He makes some nice heat maps sometimes. You ever follow him? Because I want to show you this tweet
my guess is
and have a reaction to it. Me too. Out of 66 NBA players who have attempted at least 500 jump shots this year, Westbrook ranks 65th in shooting efficiency. Only Julius Randle's been less efficient as a jump shooter. Sorry, Knicks fans, for the stray. What does that have to do with Frank Vogel? What does it have to do with LeBron? What does that have to do with the media? What's it got to do with Rob Pelinka?
He doesn't get it.
This is just straight up missing shots. So what if someone said that in the press conference, Nick, what would Russ's response be?
Oh, I'm usually pretty good at putting myself in someone else's brain to answer those questions. I don't know. Because I think that that's why I said he's in denial. Because it wasn't as if Russ, when he was given the opportunity to be Russ, he was good. It wasn't as if in the games where both LeBron and AD missed and Russ played, and God knows there were plenty, you saw these flashes of vintage Westbrook. And then when LeBron and AD were out there, he's like, oh, now you're asking me to spot up in the corner. That's not what happened. But here is, to me, the bigger issue, and I just want to quickly throw it to you, Brew. When I was digging into this morning, I asked myself this question. When was Russ's last truly excellent playoff moment? And the best I could come up with was Game 4 of the 2016 Western Conference Finals, when OKC went up 3-1 on Golden State. Russ was excellent in that game. They blew him out. They looked like they were going to go to the finals, maybe win the title. Russ, since then, in the 6 years since then, has been to the playoffs 5 times, 4 first-round exits, and the 1 year he didn't lose in the first round, he missed half the series when Houston was, going 2-2 with OKC. He has a 50-point triple-double in the playoffs that they lost. He has a playoff series where games 2 through 5 that they lost 3 of 4, he averaged 41, 12, and 12, and they lost 3 of 4. The reason I say all those things is this. If a half decade plus of evidence is not enough to show you, my numbers aren't directly correlated with winning. In fact, it seems to be the opposite. And then I don't know. I don't think 1 year where your numbers are down and the team's really bad is going to all of a sudden convince you. So my point is, I don't think it's not like the rock bottom moment, now you change. I don't think there's any changing, which is why I thought your Iverson comp that I referenced in the beginning, that is on the board. It is more on the board than many people want to acknowledge.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, you mentioned numbers. Years from now, people will look at his numbers and say, wow, 18, 7, and 7 on 44% shooting, which is above his career average. Like, you'll look at the numbers, to your point, Nick, and say, he really wasn't that bad. They just couldn't win, right? Yeah. Yep. I mean, 18, 7, and 7 is nice. All right, but you're right. Look, after this next season, wherever he ends up, that team can get, he plays out the season, and then he's a free agent. That team gets the $50 million in cap space. I wonder if Russell Westbrook's career could end. Because he'll be good enough to still be in the league, but if you're a contender, you're not bringing him in because he can't be a role player and he'll mess up your flow. If you're a bad team, I don't think, like a young team that's bad, you want your young players to develop, and bringing in Russell would hinder their growth. Bro. So the only type of team that might want him, Nick, is like the bad team that's not really young. They're just bad, and they need to sell tickets.
So the
and
Knicks
Russ can come there and
pair
flirt
him
with
with Julius
triple-doubles.
Randle.
I'm really
65
that
and
was
66.
that was the thought that came to mind.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.